When this keyboard was released, it was considered solid, a game changer, revolutionary even. It started the ball rolling on custom keyboards getting cheaper and more affordable, and why did I just spend $314 on it? Howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and this is a bit of a story. With this story, I'm hoping to answer a question. Why do people keep buying the GMMK Pro in 2023? And are they right for doing it? Hold on. I'm gonna be spending hundreds of dollars, hours of time, and a lot of my sanity in order to answer the question, should you get a GMMK Pro in 2023? Now, at first, I thought this would be a super cut and dry case, and then I found out about this, the GMMK Pro Flex Kit, which apparently makes this board good. Don't worry, I'll talk about that later. So I've got a lot on my plate in this video, but don't worry, I'm gonna make it all nice and simple for you. So what's my master plan? Well, first, I'll be tearing down the GMMK Pro, building it with the new Flex Kit, and looking at some competitors that might save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Seriously, you're gonna wanna stick around for that. Speaking of sticking around, 69% of you aren't subscribed, so I'll give you an extra howdy hey if you do that right now. Howdy hey. Now, let me start this story by setting the scene with what my opinions were on this keyboard all the way back 2 years ago, baby Hipyo time. And the GMMK Pro is the mid-range winner. Now, here's the problem. That was 2 years ago, and 2 years ago was a very different time for keyboards. Now, the bare bones version of this keyboard is $169, which has stayed relatively affordable, but the fully built version, they're selling for an upwards of $314. And like a lot of people are buying it. So I went out and bought the pre-built version of this keyboard for $314. Now I'll look at the Flex Kit in a minute, but thanks to the magic of Amazon and Jeff Bezos, this arrived in 1 day, and then I proceeded to let it rot in my closet for a month. This is partially because I remember how annoying this keyboard was to build back in the day, with its millions of screws and its sketchy stabilizers. Ascend! Ascend! Just freaking ascend! But in spite of all of its problems, back in the day, it still ended up being a pretty good value because there just really weren't any good budget keyboard offerings back then that were reliably in stock. Now, after eating the silica gel and putting my NFT sticker on, I had the keyboard unboxed. Similar to that one time somebody said I looked good in pants. Thank you, George. The unboxing experience here is actually pretty good. And for the really expensive pre-built version, thanks Nola for blocking the scene, you get a lot of accessories that I wasn't expecting. The first of which is a wrist rest, which I'm personally not a big fan of, but this wrist rest Nola is a huge fan of. She just wanted to be slapped by it and scratch it, and she literally saw it on the screen right now as I'm doing the voiceover and walked over, dear God. So before we get into the stressful part of the video, please take this 20 seconds to just appreciate Nola appreciating the wrist rest and go leave a comment and say, good job Nola, thank you so much for this wholesome intermission of the video. And she just bit my cord and ruined everything. Now, it's normal for a keyboard to come with a cable, however, this cable is nothing like normal. This is an aviator cable, and I almost just had a moment saying that. You're probably wondering, wow, it looks so fancy, does it do anything special? No. But the switch puller is actually quite nice, and the keycap puller that comes with it is also fairly good. If you use Mac, then you've got these weird little buttons, and those are all the accessories quickly put out in 30 seconds. Which is not what she said. Now it's time for the actual meat and potatoes, the keyboard that we spent the $300 on in the first place. Now, I'm not expecting this thing to be bad, but I am hoping that it's pretty good. This is a custom keyboard, so it's got a solid aluminum body, keycaps that are not absolutely terrible, and yeah, at first glance it does check all the keyboard boxes, but what's making this thing so fancy and so expensive? Now I know what you're thinking, you're gonna say, Hipyo, it's a pre-built keyboard, it comes with keycaps and switches and all of that, but the Keychron Q1 Pro, which I'll have linked down below, is only $199 US fully assembled, which, what? That's not matching up here, that's $114 difference. So already I'm a little bit skeptical because this feels fine, like it feels like an aluminum keyboard, I'm not getting a lot of crazy ping out of it, but something's not matching up here with my expectations. This isn't like a $400 custom keyboard where you're getting a fancy weight and super premium materials like 6063 aluminum, thank you British viewers, but I think we're gonna need to dig a little bit deeper into the knob zone. Now, this isn't a frat party in Great Britain. This is a knob that you can turn to adjust your volume, which is very nice. I love them. But this brings me to how it felt typing on this keyboard. And it felt fine. It felt perfectly fine. Like, the stabilizers didn't stick like in previous versions of the keyboard, which is great. But nothing about this experience felt premium to me. Now, you're probably thinking, God, Hipyo, you're just a keyboard snob. And oh, no, I can appreciate RGB. I'm an Epic gamer too. I will say it, with the RGB on, this thing is incredibly pretty. I do think more premium custom keyboards could benefit from including RGB because you can just turn it off, lol. But I think it's time to get into some of the nitty gritty here. Like, I've talked about the keyboard, but I haven't talked about the keyboard. Now, peeling back the stabilizer reveals the red switches. Wait, are these just like normal red switches, like Cherry MX Red? Well, no. These are the glorious Fox switches, which we'll talk about in a second, after talking about how the board is hot swap, so you can swap all of your switches out without soldering or desoldering. Now, these switches are factory looped, and I can definitely see some on the stem, but the springs just sound a little bit pingy to me, as if they didn't loop the springs at all. This is contrary to some of the budget pre-loop switches that I'm seeing lately that have been pre-lubed even on the springs. So it's definitely a bit of a weird inclusion, as they just didn't go the extra mile there. But before we mod this thing at all, which don't worry, I'll be doing that soon, here's a sound test of it completely stock. So like I mentioned before, it's fine. Like, it's perfectly passable as a keyboard, and if you use this daily, you wouldn't get mad at it. But let me just give you a sound test of something that is $100 cheaper. Now, that keyboard wasn't perfect, but it sounded basically the same, if not a little bit better, for $100 cheaper. That's pretty hard to argue with. It also had basically the same exact set of features that this keyboard has. Now, that was the Keychron Q1 Pro, and I'll talk about some even cheaper options later in this video, so make sure you stick around for that. But now I think it's time to take this thing apart. Now, the main reason why I'm making this video is because of this GMMK Pro Flex kit. A lot of you kept commenting and saying, hey, I bought this Flex kit and it made my GMMK Pro way better, and now it's a great keyboard. And then I looked it up, and they were charging $99 US for it. What the hell? Now, it's on sale for $65 for this white version, and it comes with a new bottom housing of the keyboard. What? Now, the goal of this kit is to increase the gasket performance and make the board sound and feel a little bit better to type on. We'll talk about gaskets in a second, but it comes with 3 different options, which is definitely a nice touch. In order to install this, we're gonna have to take the board apart. Oh man. Now, this board features like 20 stinking screws to take it fully apart, which is just really tedious. And every time you do it, you risk stripping screws, which we would never do, right? We would never do that, right? Now, if you're new to custom keyboards, us weird keyboard enthusiasts like to mod our keyboards and put foam in them and sand in them to make them sound better, sometimes feel better. And this keyboard has 1 sheet of foam in it, which is a little bit disappointing. Because it uses a cheaper aluminum, if you didn't have the foam in it, it would just be pretty pingy, honestly. And for the Flex kit, I'm gonna use the soft pour-on strip gaskets, and I'm gonna put them on the bottom case. Now, I do like that they include a ton of the gaskets, so that if you change your mind and rip up the gaskets and change them for others, you actually have the option to. And there's 3 sheets of foam, which seems to be a good touch, but I feel like there's something missing here. Wait, is there no PE foam?
$60? Where's the PE foam? It costs 10 cents? 10 cents?
Now, I'll talk about that in a second, but check out the gasket performance so far. If you put no foam in this thing, the gasket performance would be really good. However, then it would sound really bad, so then you'd need to put foam in, which is gonna make the gasket performance not really good. This is a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Huh. Yeah, you get like nothing now, right? Okay. Well, that's disappointing, but expected. Now, the point of this kit is to fix some of the issues that happened with the original GMMK Pro. But how does it sound now? Not much different. Okay. Now, that was with only 1 of the bottom sheets of foam, and I'll put the other one in for the last sound test of the video. I just wanted to see if I could get a little bit of that gasket performance flex, which I kind of did, but not fully sacrifice on the flex. But ultimately, if I spent $314 on this keyboard and then an extra $65 on this flex kit, I would be so unbelievably disappointed. Oh wait, I spent that on this? But hold on, I actually have a secret. I did not install the middle plate and PCB foam. So there's actually a chance for this to sound better, which I'll save for the final sound test. But what's this? The screw connecting the plate to the PCB came stripped, like I didn't even try unscrewing it and it was already stripped? At this point, I had to take a mental second. I had to pet Nola, regather my thoughts, and grab some tweezers to try and manually unscrew this myself. And after a lot of effort, I actually managed to get the screw undone. But dear God, why are there so many screws connecting this keyboard together? It's just unnecessary. With keyboards that I can put in about an hour of work into, this keyboard is already seeming like a little bit too much work. Now, if you have one and you're wondering whether or not you should buy this Flex kit, that's a really tough call actually. Personally, I think they should just ship these changes with future sales of the keyboard and not just charge extra to fix their own mistakes. But I will say the ability to have a dual tone case like this is actually really slick. And the bottom only has 4 screws, so reinstalling it was really easy. Okay, I'll give you points where points are due. But ultimately, I cannot recommend this thing even with the Flex kit changes. And here's why. Every single feature that this board has, other boards do it better for cheaper. And that's just the gist of it. I mean, even replacing switches in this board, like check this out. I just replaced the switch with a Marandi switch, the holiest of all switches, and it didn't sound that much better. But yeah, if you want good gasket performance, there's boards like the Keychron Q1 Pro. If you want a really, really good value, then there's boards like the Monsgeek M1. I've made videos on those. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hipyo, well, the bare bones is only $169. That's a great value. Except it's not, because the bare bones for a lot of these other keyboards starts at $99. And guess what? That's a lot cheaper. You could take that money that you saved buying the cheaper bare bones keyboards and buy one of my desk mats from Kinetic Labs, which I'll have linked down below. Because they're only $24, you could buy 2 of them for the price that you would save. And ultimately, here's the thing. The keyboard hobby is about tinkering. You can buy a pre-built for $314 and waste your money, but if you put just a little bit of effort into a keyboard, then you can get it sounding absolutely incredible. And I really recommend you watch some of my videos for that. Like, listen to this. What? So I'll be leaving you with the final sound test, but ultimately my conclusions are, do not buy a GMMK Pro in 2023. If you already have one, I'm sorry, it's fine, you can fix it, but yeah.